I didn't expect anything unusual on my wedding day. Everything looked right. Everyone smiled at the right moments, and I believed I knew everyone in the room. But halfway through the reception, a man I hadn't seen in years walked toward me, not knowing who I was. What happened next didn't cause a scene. It didn't stop the music, but it changed how I saw my marriage before it even had time to begin. I stood in front of the full-length mirror in the bridal suite, watching my mother adjust the small pearl clasp at the back of my neck. The ivory dress fit perfectly, which felt like a minor miracle given all the alterations. My sister Janine was touching up her lipstick in the corner, and my cousin Rhonda kept checking her phone, probably coordinating with the photographer downstairs. The morning had passed in that strange, dreamlike way wedding mornings do, where every small task feels both significant and completely arbitrary. I had eaten half a bagel. I had answered 17 text messages. I had let people fuss over my hair until I stopped seeing myself in the mirror and started seeing their collective vision of what I should look like. Outside the window, I could see the church parking lot filling with cars. People were arriving early, standing in small groups near the entrance, women adjusting their hats, men checking their watches. The sky was that particular shade of blue that makes everything look like it's supposed to be perfect. My mother stepped back, examining her work. She tilted her head slightly, then reached forward to adjust the clasp again, moving it maybe a quarter of an inch. Her hands were steady. "You look beautiful, baby," my mother said quietly, stepping back to examine her work. She had tears in her eyes, which I had expected. What I hadn't expected was the small knot of anxiety in my own chest, the feeling that something fundamental was about to shift, and I wasn't entirely certain I was ready for it. "Thank you, Mama." Janine turned from the mirror. "We should head down in about 10 minutes. Tyler's already at the church with his groomsmen." Tyler. My husband. That word still felt strange in my mouth, even though we had been engaged for 14 months. Tyler Morrison, the man I was about to marry, the man who had proposed to me on a boat in Annapolis with his entire family watching from the shore. He was thoughtful, successful, and he loved me in a way that felt both comforting and overwhelming. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something. Where in the world are you listening from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I love seeing how far our community reaches. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Your support truly helps this community grow. Thank you for being here. My phone buzzed on the vanity. Tyler checking in. The third time this morning. Just wanted to make sure you're okay. Can't wait to see you. I typed back quickly. I'm good. See you soon. Rhonda glanced at my phone. Tyler again? He's excited. He's nervous, my mother corrected gently. That's normal. I nodded and slipped the phone into my small clutch. Through the window, I could see guests arriving at the church across the street, women in bright dresses and elaborate hats, men in sharp suits. My Aunt Lorraine was standing near the entrance talking to Tyler's uncle, gesturing with her hands in that animated way she had. Everything looked exactly as it should. A knock on the door. My father's voice. "We ready in there?" Janine opened the door a crack. 5 more minutes. "All right, I'll be right outside." His footsteps moved away down the hallway. Janine closed the door again and turned to look at me. She didn't say anything, just looked, and I wondered what she was seeing. My mother handed me my bouquet, white roses and something green I couldn't name. It was heavier than I expected. The ceremony itself was a blur. I remember the walk down the aisle, my father's arm steady beneath my hand. I remember Tyler's face when he saw me, the way his eyes went soft and then immediately searched mine, as if checking for something. I remember the vows, my voice sounding steadier than I felt. I remember the kiss, brief and formal, and the applause that followed. What I remember most clearly is the relief I felt when it was over, when we were pronounced married and the formal part was done. I hadn't realized how tense I had been until we were walking back up the aisle together. Tyler's hand warm in mine, and I could finally breathe. In the vestibule, while guests filed out toward their cars, Tyler pulled me aside into a small alcove. "You okay? You seem quiet." "I'm fine, just taking it all in." He studied my face for a moment longer than felt necessary. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." He kissed my forehead, then my lips, then stepped back and smiled. "Let's go celebrate." His hand found the small of my back as we walked toward the waiting car. It stayed there the entire time we were outside, guiding me down the steps, toward the vehicle, into the back seat. The reception was at a hotel in downtown Baltimore, a place Tyler's mother had selected after visiting at least 15 other venues. The ballroom was elegant, all cream and gold, with centerpieces that had cost more than I wanted to think about. Our families mingled during cocktail hour while Tyler and I took photos in the garden. "You doing okay?" Tyler asked at one point, his hand resting on the small of my back as the photographer adjusted the lighting. "I'm good, a little overwhelmed. Just a few more shots, then we can go inside and relax." Relax seemed like an optimistic word for what a wedding reception entailed, but I smiled and nodded. Tyler squeezed my hand. He was good at small gestures like that. Physical reassurances that he was present and attentive. The photographer moved us to a different spot, under a trellis covered in white flowers. Tyler positioned me carefully, adjusting the train of my dress, moving my hand to rest on his chest. "Perfect," he said quietly, and I wasn't sure if he was talking to me or the photographer. The light was fading, that golden hour photographers love. Tyler's hand on my waist firm and certain. The photographer circling us, calling out instructions. "Chin up, look at him. Now look at me. Now both of you look at each other. Hold it, perfect, again." I could hear the reception starting inside. Music, voices, laughter carrying through the open doors. By the time we entered the ballroom for our introduction as husband and wife, I had been in heels for nearly 6 hours, and my face hurt from smiling. The DJ announced us. Everyone applauded, and we made our way to the head table where our wedding party was already seated. Dinner service began, and I found myself going through the motions, cutting the cake, dancing the first dance, listening to speeches that were alternately touching and too long. Tyler's best friend told a story about their college days that made everyone laugh, and my maid of honor, Shanice, gave a speech that made me cry, which I had also expected. What I hadn't expected was how disconnected I felt from all of it. I kept looking around the room, seeing people I loved, people who had traveled to be here, people who were genuinely happy for us, and feeling like I was watching it all from a great distance. The band was playing something old, something my parents' generation would recognize. I watched couples move onto the dance floor, the older ones first, comfortable in each other's arms, my aunt and uncle, Tyler's parents, strangers finding rhythm together. Tyler's hand found mine under the table. "You seem quiet." "Just taking it all in." He nodded, seemingly satisfied with that answer, and turned to respond to something his cousin was saying. I took a sip of champagne and tried to shake off the strange melancholy that had settled over me. The tablecloth was cream-colored, heavy fabric. Someone had spilled water near the centerpiece, a small dark spot spreading slowly. I watched it expand, the way the liquid moved through the weave. After dinner, people started moving around more freely, the dance floor filled with relatives dancing to old Motown songs. Children ran between tables despite their mother's warnings to slow down. The bar was 3 people deep. Everything was exactly as Tyler had planned it. I excused myself from a conversation with Tyler's aunt about honeymoon destinations and moved toward the edge of the ballroom, near the entrance where it was quieter. I could still see everything, the dancing, the laughing, the celebration, but from here it felt more manageable, less like I needed to be constantly performing. A waiter passed carrying a tray of empty glasses. Another followed with champagne, the rhythm of service, invisible unless you were watching for it. Tyler's grandmother, a tiny woman named Dorothy, who everyone called Nana, was making her way slowly across the room with her cane. She paused when she saw me and smiled. "Taking a little break, just for a minute." Smart girl, these things can be exhausting. She patted my hand. You looked beautiful up there. Tyler's a lucky man. Thank you, Nana. She continued on her way toward the ladies' room, and I stood there watching people move through the space, observing the small dramas and interactions that make up any large gathering. My Uncle Raymond was talking too loudly near the bar. Tyler's mother was directing the photographer toward a group of relatives she wanted captured. Janine was dancing with her boyfriend, her head on his shoulder. The music changed, something faster. More people joined the dance floor. That's when a man approached me. He was well-dressed, maybe early 30s, with a warm smile and an easy confidence that suggested he was comfortable at events like this. I had never seen him before. Congratulations, he said, extending his hand. Beautiful ceremony. Thank you, I replied, shaking his hand automatically. I'm sorry, are you with Tyler's family or mine? Tyler's side. I work with his brother, James. He invited me. I hope that's okay. Of course, absolutely. I'm glad you could make it. There was a brief pause, the kind that happens at weddings when you're talking to someone you don't know and trying to find common ground. He seemed like he was about to say something else when someone nearby called out to him. Kevin, there you are. He glanced over his shoulder, then back to me. I'm Kevin, by the way. I don't think we've met before. I'm Nia. The moment I said my name, I saw something change in his face, a flash of recognition followed immediately by confusion, then what looked like disbelief. His eyes widened slightly, and I felt my own stomach drop because I recognized him too, in that same terrible instant. Kevin Lawrence, from 7 years ago, from a relationship that had ended badly, that I had worked very hard to forget, that I had certainly never mentioned to Tyler because it had felt like something from another lifetime entirely. We stood there, frozen, neither of us speaking. I could see him trying to process what was happening, trying to reconcile the woman in the wedding dress with the person he had known years ago. I watched his face go through several expressions in rapid succession: shock, panic, something that might have been horror. The music was still playing. Someone laughed loudly near the bar, the normal sounds of celebration continuing around us. He took a step backward, still staring at me. Behind him, Nana was making her way back from the ladies' room, moving slowly with her cane. Kevin didn't see her. He took another step back, and that's when he collided with her. I heard a sharp intake of breath, a muffled exclamation, and then the sound of someone falling. Nana went down slowly, her cane clattering to the floor beside her, her small body crumpling in a way that made my chest tighten. Several people rushed forward immediately. Tyler appeared from somewhere behind me, pushing past Kevin to kneel beside his grandmother. James was there too, and Tyler's mother, all of them talking at once, asking if she was hurt, trying to help her up. I looked at Kevin. He was still standing in the same spot, staring down at Nana on the floor, his face completely white. For a moment, I thought he would bend down. Help! Do something. But he didn't. He just stood there, paralyzed, and then he turned and walked quickly toward the exit. I watched him leave. I watched him push through the doors and disappear into the hallway, and I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger exactly, something quieter than that. Someone had retrieved Nana's cane. Someone else was bringing water. The small crowd adjusted, made space, moved with practiced concern. Tyler helped his grandmother to her feet. She seemed shaken but not injured, insisting she was fine, waving away everyone's concern. Someone retrieved her cane. Someone else brought her water. The small crowd that had gathered began to disperse, returning to their conversations, their dancing, their celebration. But Tyler's face had changed. He looked tense, his jaw tight, his eyes scanning the room. He stayed kneeling beside her for a moment after she was settled in a chair, his hand on her arm, asking questions I couldn't hear from where I stood. "Did you see who knocked into her?" he asked me quietly, once Nana was settled back at her table with an ice water and half the family hovering around her. "Someone from James's work, I think. He said his name was Kevin." Tyler's expression darkened. He just left. Didn't even apologize. Didn't check if she was okay. I didn't respond. I was thinking about Kevin's face when he recognized me, the way he had looked at me like I was a ghost. I was thinking about how he had run, and I was thinking about why. Tyler was still watching the entrance where Kevin had disappeared. "Do you know him?" The question caught me off guard. "What?" "Kevin. Do you know him?" I hesitated for just a fraction of a second, but I could tell Tyler noticed. "Why would you ask that?" "I saw you talking to him before it happened. You seemed like you knew each other." "He introduced himself, that's all." Tyler looked at me for a long moment, and I could see him processing something, cataloging the interaction, filing it away. Then he nodded and turned back toward his grandmother's table. The band started playing again. People returned to the dance floor. The reception continued as if nothing had happened. I stood near the entrance for a while longer, watching the celebration from a distance. Tyler was at his grandmother's table talking with his mother and aunts, checking on Nana. He glanced in my direction once, twice, making sure I was still there. The photographer was taking candid shots now, moving through the crowd. I watched him capture moments people wouldn't remember making. A laugh, a touch, the in-between. The rest of the reception passed in a strange haze. I danced with my father and Tyler's father. I posed for more photos. I smiled and thanked people and acted like everything was exactly as it should be. But I could feel Tyler watching me more closely than usual. I could feel his attention shifting, sharpening. Each time I moved to a different part of the room, I would catch him looking. Not obviously, just small glances, quick assessments, keeping track. My mother came over at one point asking if I was having a good time. I told her yes. She smiled and kissed my cheek and moved on to talk to other relatives. I wondered if she believed me. When we finally said goodbye to the last guests and made our way up to the honeymoon suite the hotel had provided, I was exhausted in a way that went beyond physical tiredness. Tyler loosened his tie and poured himself a drink from the minibar. "What a day," he said. But there was something off in his tone, something I couldn't quite identify. "Yeah," I agreed, sitting down on the edge of the bed and removing my heels with a relief that was almost painful. He was quiet for a moment, swirling the whiskey in his glass. I could feel him watching me in the mirror's reflection as I started removing my jewelry, the earrings first, then the necklace, my fingers working the small clasps. "That guy who knocked into Nana," Tyler said finally. "Kevin, you said you talked to him?" "Briefly, just to say hello. He came up to congratulate us." "What did you talk about?" I looked at him in the mirror. "Nothing really. He introduced himself. That was about it." Tyler nodded slowly, still not looking directly at me. He seemed to leave in a hurry. "I guess he felt bad. About your grandmother." "Yeah." Tyler took a drink. Weird that he didn't apologize, though. You'd think if you knocked someone over, especially an elderly woman, you'd at least make sure she was okay before you took off. I started unpinning my hair, letting it fall around my shoulders. The silence stretched between us. Each pin made a small sound as I set it on the dresser. 1, 2, 3, 4. "James said he barely knows the guy," Tyler continued. "Said he invited him because they worked on one project together and he seemed nice. Now James feels terrible. It was an accident. Still." Tyler set his glass down on the dresser with a careful precision that suggested he was working very hard to stay calm. "Did you know him? Before today?" The question hung in the air between us. I could have lied. Part of me wanted to, but I was too tired, and something about the way Tyler was watching me made me feel like he already suspected the answer. A long time ago. Yes. He set his glass down on the dresser with a careful precision. How long ago? 7 years. Maybe 8. "And you didn't think to mention that one of the guests at our wedding was your ex-boyfriend?" "I didn't know he was going to be here. I didn't know James knew him. I haven't seen him or thought about him in years, Tyler." "But when you saw him tonight, you recognized him." "Eventually." "Not right away." Tyler ran his hand through his hair. a gesture I recognized as frustration. "This is exactly the kind of thing that should have come up before we got married, Nia. I should have known about this." Known about what? That I dated someone 7 years ago? That relationship ended before I even met you. It has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with us when he shows up at our wedding and you're standing there talking to him like it's nothing. I stood up, feeling defensive now. I talked to him for maybe 30 seconds before we both realized who the other person was. Then he literally ran away. "I don't understand what you're upset about." "I'm upset that I'm finding out about parts of your past from watching some guy panic and knock over my grandmother. I'm upset that you apparently don't think I need to know these things. You never asked about my past relationships. We never had that conversation. Because I assumed if there was anything important, you would tell me." I felt something shift then, something subtle but significant. Tyler had always been attentive, always interested in my life, my thoughts, my day. I had appreciated that about him, but now I was seeing it from a different angle. "I'm going to change," I said quietly, picking up my overnight bag and heading toward the bathroom. "Nia," I closed the bathroom door before he could finish. I stood there for a moment, leaning against the sink, looking at myself in the mirror. My makeup was still perfect. My hair was still mostly in place. I looked exactly like a bride was supposed to look. But I felt something unfamiliar settling into my bones. The bathroom was large, marble and chrome. Someone had left small bottles of lotion and shampoo arranged on the counter. I picked one up, read the label without really seeing the words, set it down again. I changed into the nightgown that Shanice had insisted I buy for my wedding night, something delicate and expensive that I hadn't particularly wanted. When I came out, Tyler was sitting on the bed, his jacket and tie removed, looking at his phone. "I'm sorry," he said, not looking up. "I didn't mean to start a fight on our wedding night." "It's okay. It's not okay. I don't like surprises, you know that." I did know that. Tyler was a planner, someone who liked to know all the variables, all the possible outcomes. It was what made him good at his job, good at managing projects and people. It was also, I was beginning to realize, what made him need to know everything about me. I got into bed, and he set his phone aside and turned to me. He kissed me, gentle at first, then more insistent. I responded because it was our wedding night and because I didn't know what else to do. But even as we moved together, I felt that same strange distance I had felt all day, like I was watching from somewhere outside myself. His hands on my skin, the weight of him, the sounds he made, all of it familiar from the past year together, but somehow different now, changed by something I couldn't name. Afterward, Tyler fell asleep quickly, his arm heavy across my waist. I lay awake in the dark, listening to him breathe, thinking about Kevin's face when he recognized me, thinking about how he had run, thinking about the relationship we'd had years ago when I'd been younger and less certain about what I wanted. Kevin had been charming and unreliable in equal measure. He had made promises he didn't keep. He had borrowed money he never paid back. He had a way of making me feel like I was being unreasonable whenever I asked for basic consideration or honesty. The relationship had ended after I finally got tired of being disappointed, tired of making excuses for him, tired of feeling like I was always waiting for him to become the person he claimed he was going to be. I had moved on. I had built a different life. I had met Tyler, who was everything Kevin wasn't: stable, successful, reliable. A man who showed up when he said he would, who followed through on his commitments. But lying there in the dark, I found myself thinking about different kinds of reliability. Through the window, I could see the city lights. Baltimore at night, quiet from this height. Cars moving on distant streets, the world continuing as it always did. When I finally fell asleep, it was almost dawn. The next morning, Tyler was already awake when I opened my eyes. He was sitting in the chair by the window, dressed in slacks and a polo shirt, looking at his phone. "Morning," I said, my voice still thick with sleep. He looked up and smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Morning. I ordered us breakfast. Should be here in about 20 minutes. You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to. Thought we could eat before we head back to the apartment." I sat up, pulling the sheet around me. "What time is it?" "Almost 9. I let you sleep in." I nodded and got out of bed, heading to the bathroom. When I came back out, Tyler was still in the same position, still looking at his phone. The chair was angled toward the window, but I could tell he had turned it slightly so he could see the bed, see me. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Fine, just checking some work emails." "On the day after our wedding?" He glanced up. "Just making sure everything's running smoothly while I'm out." I started gathering my things, packing up the items I had brought for our wedding night. Tyler watched me move around the room. "I talked to James this morning," he said casually. I paused, a dress in my hands. "About what?" "About Kevin, about how he knows him." "Oh." James said they only worked together for a few months. He barely knows the guy. He was surprised when Kevin accepted the invitation. I didn't say anything. I folded the dress carefully and placed it in my bag. James also said Kevin left the reception pretty quickly, didn't even say goodbye. Tyler, I'm just saying, it's weird. The whole thing is weird. There was a knock on the door. Tyler got up to answer it, and a hotel staff member wheeled in a cart with breakfast. Tyler signed for it and tipped the man, then closed the door behind him. He lifted the silver covers from the plates: eggs, toast, fruit, orange juice in a small glass pitcher, everything arranged precisely. We ate in near silence, Tyler asking occasional questions about whether the food was good, whether I wanted more coffee, whether I was feeling okay. I answered briefly, feeling the weight of unspoken things between us. He cut his eggs into small, even pieces before eating them. I watched his hands, the methodical way he moved. After breakfast, we checked out and drove back to our apartment in Canton. Tyler carried my bag upstairs while I checked the mail. Inside, everything was exactly as we had left it 2 days ago. Tyler's suit from the rehearsal dinner was still hanging on the back of the bedroom door. My shoes from the final dress fitting were still in the hallway. "I'm going to unpack," I said, taking my bag from Tyler. "Want help?" "I'm okay." He nodded and settled onto the couch, reaching for the remote. I went into the bedroom and closed the door most of the way, leaving it open just a crack. I could hear the television turn on in the living room. I unpacked slowly, hanging up the dress I had worn to leave the hotel, putting away the toiletries I had brought. My wedding dress was still at the hotel, being cleaned and preserved, another service Tyler's mother had arranged. I sat on the edge of the bed, holding the small clutch I had carried during the reception, and thought about Kevin's face in that moment of recognition. The clutch was white satin, something borrowed from Janine. I opened it, a tissue, a lipstick, nothing else. We had both been so young when we dated. I had been 23, fresh out of college, working my first real job at a nonprofit that paid barely enough to cover rent. Kevin had been 25, working in sales, always talking about the next big opportunity that was going to change everything. I had believed him at first. I had believed a lot of things. My phone buzzed, a text from Shanice. "How was the wedding night?" "You guys doing okay?" I typed back, "Good, tired. Talk later?" She sent back a heart emoji and a champagne glass. I lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Through the partially open door, I could hear Tyler flipping through channels, settling finally on a basketball game. The ceiling had a small water stain in the corner. I had noticed it when we first moved in. Tyler had said he would call the landlord about it. The next day was a Sunday. We had one more day before leaving for Greece. Tyler made breakfast while I was still in bed. I could smell coffee, hear him moving around the kitchen. When I came out, he had set the table. Eggs, toast. The newspaper folded beside my plate. "Thought you might be hungry," he said. "Thank you." We ate. Tyler read the sports section. I looked at my phone. Scrolling through wedding photos people had already posted. Everyone looked happy. Everyone looked exactly as they should. "We should probably start packing today," Tyler said, "for the trip." Okay, I made a list of things we'll need. Want to go through it together? Sure. He pulled out his phone and opened a note. Sunscreen, adapters, comfortable shoes. The list was long and thorough. Tyler had thought of everything. We left for our honeymoon in Greece 2 days later. Tyler had planned the entire trip, selecting the hotels, arranging the tours, scheduling every activity. He had presented it to me as a gift months ago, and I had been grateful. I hadn't wanted to think about logistics. The flight was long, and Tyler slept most of the way. I watched movies and tried not to think about the way he had looked at me in the hotel room when asking about Kevin. Tried not to think about the careful way he had phrased his questions, like he was gathering information rather than just making conversation. The woman in the seat across the aisle was reading a book. She turned pages slowly, sometimes pausing to look out the window. I wondered where she was going, what she was leaving behind. Our hotel in Athens was beautiful, all white stone and blue accents, with a view of the Acropolis from our balcony. Tyler had arranged for champagne and flowers to be waiting in the room. It was thoughtful. It was romantic. It was exactly what a honeymoon should be. "What do you want to do first?" Tyler asked as we unpacked. "Maybe just walk around. See the neighborhood?" He pulled out his phone and opened a map. "I made us a reservation at that restaurant everyone talks about. It's about a 20-minute walk from here." "What time?" 7. That gives us a couple hours to explore. We walked through the narrow streets of Plaka, past shops selling tourist trinkets and restaurants with tables spilling out onto the sidewalks. Tyler took photos of everything, posing me in front of ancient ruins, capturing moments that looked spontaneous but were carefully staged. He would stop me mid-step, tell me to turn slightly, adjust my position with his hands on my shoulders. "Smile," he said, holding up his phone. "This is for our album." I smiled. I was good at smiling by now. At dinner, Tyler ordered for both of us after consulting the menu extensively. "Trust me," he said. "I did a lot of research on the best dishes here." The food was excellent, and Tyler was pleased with himself for selecting well. He talked about the itinerary he had planned for the rest of the week, the sites we would visit, the experiences we would have. I listened and nodded and tried to feel excited about it. The waiter brought small glasses of something clear and strong. "Ouzo," Tyler explained. He had read about it. "You're quiet again," he said at one point. "Just taking it all in. It's beautiful here." "It is." He reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm glad we're here together." "Me too." But even as I said it, I felt that distance again, that sense of watching from somewhere outside myself. Over the next few days, we fell into a pattern. Tyler would wake up early and plan our day while I was still getting ready. We would have breakfast at the hotel, then set out for whatever activity he had scheduled. Museums, archaeological sites, beaches. Each day was full, each moment accounted for. He had printed out a detailed itinerary before we left. It was in his bag, folded and creased from being consulted multiple times a day. One afternoon, I wanted to wander through a small neighborhood we were passing, narrow streets with colorful doors and laundry hanging from balconies. "Can we explore over there?" I asked. Tyler glanced at his watch. "We need to get to our next place, the Acropolis Museum. I bought time tickets." "Could we go later?" "The tickets are for 2 o'clock. We can come back to this area another day." But we never did come back. I turned to look at the neighborhood as we walked past. A woman was watering plants on a small balcony. A cat sat in a window. The street curved out of sight. Another time, I expressed interest in a local market we passed, vendors selling produce and cheese and fresh fish. Tyler said it looked too crowded, too chaotic, not worth our time. "I'm just trying to make sure we see the best things," he said. "I did a lot of research on this trip." And I would nod, because he had, and because I appreciated the effort, but I was starting to feel like a passenger in my own honeymoon. One evening, we were supposed to have dinner at a taverna Tyler had selected, but I suggested we try a place I had noticed earlier, a small restaurant tucked down a side street with no tourists, just locals eating family style at long tables. Tyler frowned. I don't know anything about that place. It might not be good. We could try it. We have a reservation at the other place. I called ahead to make sure we could get a table. We could cancel. Nia, I planned this carefully. Can we just stick to the plan? I let it go. I let a lot of things go during that trip. The taverna Tyler had chosen was nice. The food was good. Other tourists filled the tables around us, all of them with their phones out, documenting their perfect honeymoons. On our last night in Greece, we had dinner at a restaurant on the water, watching the sunset over the harbor. Tyler took a photo of us, his arm around my shoulders, both of us smiling. It looked perfect. It looked like two people deeply in love, celebrating their new marriage in one of the most beautiful places in the world. "This has been incredible," Tyler said. "Thank you for being such a good sport about everything." A good sport, as if I had been participating in a game rather than sharing a honeymoon. The sun was setting behind us. The water was turning orange and pink. It was objectively beautiful. We returned home to Baltimore at the end of August, and I went back to my job at the nonprofit where I worked as a program coordinator. Tyler went back to his position at a consulting firm. We settled into married life in the apartment we had moved into together 6 months before the wedding, a 2-bedroom in Canton that Tyler had found and I had approved. Everything seemed normal on the surface. We had dinner together most nights. We watched shows Tyler selected. We made plans with friends, usually couples Tyler knew from work or college. Tyler would come home from work and ask about my day. I would tell him. He would nod and file away the information, asking follow-up questions days later about things I had mentioned once in passing. I saw my own friends less frequently, not because Tyler explicitly discouraged it, but because there was always something else scheduled, something he had already committed us to. The first time I suggested meeting Shanice for drinks, Tyler reminded me we had dinner with his college roommate. The second time, we had tickets to a show. The third time, I didn't suggest it at all. "I thought we were going to do that thing with Shanice and Tanya," I said one Saturday, when Tyler announced we were having brunch with his cousin. "This is important, Nia. Marcus is going through a hard time. His girlfriend just moved out." "But I already told Shanice we'd meet her. Can't you reschedule?" "This is family." I texted Shanice. I rescheduled. I did that more and more often. It was easier than arguing, easier than trying to explain why I felt like my time and my commitments mattered less than his. Shanice texted back, "No worries, rain check, XO." But I could feel the pattern forming, could feel my friendships becoming something I had to fit into the spaces Tyler left available. One evening in late September, my phone rang while we were watching television. It was my mother, wanting to know if I could come by on Sunday to help her organize some old photos. Tyler glanced at me when I answered. "Who is it?" he asked after I hung up. "My mom. She wants help with some family photos." "This Sunday?" "Yeah, I told her I'd come over after church." Tyler frowned. "I thought we were going to that wine tasting with James and Rachel. I didn't know we had plans. You didn't mention it." "I mentioned it last week. You probably forgot." I didn't think he had mentioned it, but I also couldn't be completely certain, and that was becoming a pattern too. Tyler would reference conversations I didn't remember having, plans I didn't recall making, and I would start to question my own memory. Sometimes he would mention these things in passing, casually, as if they were established facts. "We had already discussed this. I told you about this. You said you were fine with it." "I can do both," I said finally. "Help my mom in the morning, meet you at the wine tasting in the afternoon." "The wine tasting starts at noon." "Then I'll go to my mom's after. It's fine." Tyler was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, just text me when you're on your way." "Of course." I did text him when I left my mother's house on Sunday. I also texted him when I arrived at the wine tasting venue. When I walked in, Tyler was sitting at a table with James and Rachel, and there was an empty chair next to him with a glass of wine already poured. "You made it," Tyler said, standing to kiss my cheek. "How was your mom's?" "Good. We got through about half the photos. That's great. We sat down, and the afternoon proceeded pleasantly enough. But I noticed Tyler watching me throughout the event, checking to see who I was talking to, monitoring how much wine I was drinking, keeping track of my conversations in a way that felt more calculated than casual. When I went to the bar to get water, I could feel his eyes following me. When I talked to Rachel about her new job, I could see him glancing over. When I laughed at something James said, Tyler's expression shifted slightly. Rachel's brother was there, a guy named Andre who worked in tech. We talked for a few minutes near the bar about the nonprofit I worked for, about community programs, about nothing particularly significant. On the drive home, Tyler asked, "Who was that guy you were talking to?" "Rachel's brother, Andre. He was asking about my work." "What did you tell him?" "Just basic information about our programs." "Why?" "No reason. I just noticed you were talking to him for a while." "Maybe 5 minutes, Tyler." "I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just asking." But the tone suggested otherwise. The tone suggested he was keeping track of minutes, of conversations, of small interactions that shouldn't have required explanation. The rest of the drive was quiet. Tyler's hands on the wheel, precise and steady, the radio playing something neither of us was listening to. We developed routines. Tyler would set out my vitamins in the morning next to my coffee. He would ask if I had taken them. He would put gas in my car without being asked. He would suggest routes when I drove, better ways to get places, safer roads. In November, Tyler's company had a holiday party. It was the kind of formal event where spouses were expected to attend, to dress well, to be charming and supportive. I wore a dress Tyler had helped me select, black and simple, appropriate for the venue. We'd gone shopping together. Tyler had picked 3 options for me to try on, then waited outside the dressing room, asking me to show him each one. The black dress had been his favorite. Tyler introduced me to his boss, a man named Richard who seemed pleasant enough. We talked briefly about the work Tyler did, the projects he was leading, the plans for the coming year. Tyler's hand never left the small of my back during the entire conversation. Afterward, as we were getting coats, Tyler's coworker, Nina, approached us. She was around my age, friendly, with an easy laugh that made her instantly likable. "Nia, it's so nice to finally meet you," she said, shaking my hand warmly. "Tyler talks about you all the time." "All good things, I hope." "Always. We should grab lunch sometime. Tyler mentioned you work in nonprofit management. I'd love to hear about it." "That would be great," I said, genuinely pleased at the idea. Tyler smiled, but I could feel the tension in his body. "We should probably get going. Early morning tomorrow." In the car, he was quiet. I waited for him to say something, but he just drove, his jaw tight, his eyes on the road. "Nina seems nice," I said eventually. "She's fine." "She mentioned getting lunch." "Yeah, I heard." Another silence, longer this time. The streets were decorated for Christmas, lights strung between lampposts, a wreath on someone's door. "Is something wrong?" I asked. "No. Why would something be wrong? You seem upset." "I'm not upset, I'm just tired." But when we got home, he didn't go to bed. He poured himself a drink and sat in the living room in the dark. I changed into pajamas and found him there, staring at nothing. "Tyler, what's going on?" He looked at me, and there was something in his expression I hadn't seen before, something harder. "Do you think I don't notice?" he asked quietly. "Notice what?" "The way you are with other people, how you light up when you talk to them, how you're different with them than you are with me." I sat down slowly on the couch. "I don't understand what you're asking." "You barely talk to me anymore, Nia, but you had a whole conversation with Richard about community development. You were laughing with Nina like you've known her for years." "That's called being social at a work event, Tyler. That's what you do at these things." "It's more than that. You're pulling away from me. I can feel it." The accusation hung in the air between us. Part of me wanted to deny it reflexively, but I realized with a sudden clarity that he was right. I was pulling away. I had been pulling away for months, slowly, instinctively, in ways I hadn't fully acknowledged even to myself. "Maybe I am," I said quietly. Tyler set his glass down. "Why?" "Because I don't know who I am anymore when I'm with you. That's not fair. I'm just trying to build a life with you. I'm trying to be a good husband. By deciding where I go, who I talk to, when I see my own family, I've never told you who you can or can't see. You don't have to tell me. You just make it difficult enough that it's easier to go along with what you want." Tyler stood up, running his hands through his hair. "I can't believe we're having this conversation. We just got married. We're supposed to be happy." "I know," I said, and I felt the weight of that truth settling over me. "I know we're supposed to be." He left the room. I heard the bedroom door close, not slammed, but shut firmly, and I sat alone in the living room wondering how we had arrived at this moment so quickly. The ice in Tyler's abandoned glass was melting, small sounds of water dripping. I watched it until the sound stopped. Over the next few weeks, things between us grew quieter but not easier. We spoke carefully to each other, like diplomats negotiating a complicated treaty. Tyler stopped asking about my conversations with other people, but I could feel him watching, cataloging, filing away information for later reference. I started staying late at work more often, finding projects that required my attention, meetings that ran long. It wasn't dishonest exactly. The work needed to be done. But I was also aware that I was creating distance deliberately, carving out spaces where Tyler's attention couldn't reach me. My desk at work faced a window. I could see the street below, people walking past, living their separate lives. Sometimes I would sit there after everyone else had left, just watching. One evening in early December, I came home to find Tyler had made dinner. The apartment smelled good, and he had set the table with candles. It was a gesture, an olive branch, and I appreciated it even as I felt wary of it. "This is nice," I said, setting down my bag. "I thought we could use a quiet evening, just the two of us." We sat down and he poured wine, and we made conversation that was almost normal. He asked about my day, and I told him about a grant proposal I was working on. He told me about a difficult client meeting. It felt, for a moment, like what I had imagined marriage might be. But then, as we were clearing the dishes, Tyler said, "I've been thinking about what you said, about feeling watched." I paused, a plate in my hand. "Okay? I don't mean to make you feel that way. I'm invested in us, in making this work." "I know. Do you?" He turned to face me. "Because sometimes I feel like you've already checked out, like you're just going through the motions." I set the plate down carefully in the sink. "I'm trying, Tyler. I'm here. I'm doing my best. But you're not happy." It wasn't a question. It was a statement, and its accuracy made it impossible to argue with. "I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to tell me what I can do differently." And that was the problem, I realized. Tyler approached our marriage the way he approached everything else, as a project that could be managed, a problem that could be solved with the right inputs and adjustments. "I don't think this is something you can fix," I said quietly. He went very still. "What does that mean?" "I mean that this isn't about you doing things differently. This is about who we are together. We make perfect sense. Everyone said so. Your family loves me. My family loves you. That's not the same as us actually working." Tyler's face changed, hardened. "So that's it? You're giving up?" "I'm being honest." "No, you're running away, just like you always do." I didn't respond to that. I just turned back to the sink and continued washing dishes. The water was hot, steam rising, my hands moving through familiar motions. Tyler left. The front door opened and closed, and I was alone in the apartment with the dinner he had made, the candle still burning on the table. He was gone for hours. I cleaned up, put away the food, blew out the candles. I sat on the couch and waited, not because I thought his return would solve anything, but because I didn't know what else to do. I turned on the television but didn't watch it. Just let the images move across the screen, sound without meaning. When Tyler came back, it was after midnight. He smelled like cold air and alcohol. He sat down heavily in the chair across from me. "I don't want to lose you," he said. "I know. But I don't know how to be with someone who doesn't want to be known. I want to be known. I just want to be known in a way that doesn't feel like interrogation." He nodded slowly. "So, where does that leave us?" "I don't know." We stayed like that for a while, sitting in our living room in the middle of the night, two people who had promised to love each other, but were discovering they had very different ideas about what that meant. Outside, a car passed, then another, the city continuing around us. The holidays came. We went through the motions with both families, opening gifts, eating meals, pretending everything was normal. Tyler's mother asked when we were going to start trying for a baby, and I saw Tyler's face tighten at the question, saw him glance at me before changing the subject. My mother pulled me aside during Christmas dinner. "You seem different." "I'm fine, Mama, just adjusting." "Marriage is hard work," she said, which was what people always said. She touched my cheek. A gesture from childhood. I almost told her everything. Almost. In January, the apartment felt different. Smaller somehow. Or maybe I was just more aware of the space we occupied together, the rooms we moved through separately even when we were both home. In February, Tyler announced he had been offered a promotion. More money, more responsibility, longer hours, more travel. "What do you think?" he asked. "It sounds like a great opportunity." "But?" "No but, it's great." "You don't sound excited." "I'm happy for you, Tyler. If this is what you want, you should take it." He set down his fork. "What I want is for my wife to be happy that I'm succeeding." "I am happy for you. You're indifferent. You've been indifferent to everything for months." I didn't argue. "I'm taking the job," Tyler said. "And I think we should go to couples counseling." "Okay." We started counseling in March. The therapist was a woman named Dr. Ellis, calm and professional. Tyler was articulate and engaged. I listened and tried to explain my side, but my words felt inadequate. "It sounds like you both have different attachment styles," Dr. Ellis said after our third session. Tyler nodded like this made sense, like it was a problem that could be solved. The counseling sessions became another scheduled activity. Tyler would ask me afterward what I thought, what I had learned, whether I was applying Dr. Ellis's suggestions. We drove home from each session in silence. Tyler's questions would come later, after we were home, after he had time to process. The sessions continued through the spring. Dr. Ellis would ask questions. Tyler would answer thoughtfully. I would sit and try to find words for things I couldn't quite articulate. In April, Tyler had to travel for work for the first time since the promotion. 4 days. "You'll be okay?" he asked the morning he left. "Of course." "Call me when you get home from work each day." "Tyler, I'll text you." "I want you to call." I agreed. Those 4 days were revealing. I came home to silence and realized I preferred it. I made my own dinners. I spent an evening with Shanice and realized how much I had missed her. "You seem lighter," Shanice said. "Do I?" "Yeah." When Tyler came home, he seemed to sense the shift. He was more attentive, more careful, but also more anxious. "I missed you," he said. "I missed you too," I said, and it wasn't entirely a lie, but it wasn't entirely true either. His suitcase was still by the door. He hadn't unpacked yet. He was standing close to me, studying my face the way he did when he was trying to read something I wasn't saying. In May, my mother called to tell me my grandmother was sick. Pneumonia, complications, hospital. I told Tyler I needed to go home to Richmond for a few days. "I'll come with you," he said immediately. "You don't have to. I know you have that big presentation." "Your grandmother is sick. Of course I'm coming." But I didn't want him to come. "I think I need to do this alone," I said. Tyler's face changed. "What does that mean?" "It means I need to be with my family right now." "I'm your husband. I'm your family too." "I know, but this is different." How is it different? I couldn't explain it in a way that wouldn't hurt him. Please, I said. I'm asking you to let me do this. He was silent for a long time. Finally, he nodded. Okay, but call me. Every day. I will. I drove to Richmond that afternoon. My grandmother recovered slowly, and I spent a week at my mother's house, sleeping in my old room, helping with meals, sitting beside my grandmother's bed. My mother and I talked more during that week than we had in months. You don't sound happy, baby, she said one evening. I don't know if I am. Marriage is hard. Your father and I went through rough patches. This feels like more than a rough patch. She looked at me carefully. What does it feel like? Like I'm disappearing. My mother pulled me into a hug, and I let myself cry for the first time in months. You don't have to stay in something that's hurting you, she said quietly. You don't have to disappear for anyone. I went back to Baltimore at the end of the week. Tyler picked me up and we drove home together in near silence. How's your grandmother? He asked. Better. Good. More silence. Did you think about us while you were gone? Yes. And? I think we need to talk. We sat in the living room that evening, and I told him everything. About the weight of his attention, about feeling monitored, about not knowing who I was anymore. Tyler listened, his face going through various expressions. I didn't know, he said finally. I tried to tell you. Not clearly enough. Would it have made a difference? He thought about that. I don't know. Maybe. That's the thing, Tyler. You're always trying. But I don't want to be a project. So what are you saying? I'm saying I don't know if we should stay married. The words hung there. Tyler's face crumpled. Don't make any decisions right now, he said. Please. I nodded. But over the following weeks, nothing changed. We were polite, careful, but the distance only grew. The apartment felt smaller. Or maybe I just noticed its boundaries more. We stopped eating dinner together as often. Tyler would work late. I would work late. We would pass each other in the hallway and the kitchen like roommates who happened to share a lease. In June, Shanice asked me to be honest with her. Are you leaving him? I think so, yes. When? I don't know, soon. What are you waiting for? I didn't have a good answer. That night, I came home to find Tyler sitting in the dark living room. I can't do this anymore, he said. I sat down. Can't do what? This, waiting for you to decide. I know. Are you leaving? I looked at him. Yes. He nodded slowly. When? I'll start looking for a place this week. Just like that. There's nothing just like that about it, Tyler. This has been building for months. I love you, he said, and his voice broke. I know, I love you too, but I don't think that's enough. We sat there for a while longer, not talking. Eventually, Tyler went to bed, and I stayed on the couch. The next few weeks were strange. I looked at apartments online. Tyler didn't ask where I was looking. I started packing small things, books, photos, things that wouldn't be missed immediately. I moved out in July, into a small one-bedroom in Federal Hill. Tyler helped me move. We were civil, almost friendly. The movers came early. Tyler and I worked alongside them, carrying boxes, wrapping furniture. It felt surreal, dismantling the life we had tried to build. The divorce was filed in August. It would take time, but the emotional separation was already complete. I saw my mother in September. Do you regret it? I thought about that. No, I think I needed to go through it to understand what I don't want. The divorce was finalized in December. Tyler sent me a text. Simple, just that it was done, and a wish that I'd be happy. I responded with the same. On New Year's Eve, I stayed home alone. I didn't go to a party. I didn't make resolutions. I just sat in my small apartment, the one I had chosen, furnished with things I liked. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And before you go, click on Hype to help this video reach even more people. Your support keeps these voices alive and keeps our community growing. Thank you for listening.